all think we know what the issues of piracy are, and we all know a lot of people who do it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I have friends who get a great deal of glee and pleasure. There's a kind of rebellious streak in people that they think it's fun and they think it's cool, and they think the studios just don't have as much cleverness behind them as they do. The studios have been fighting it with legislation, with advertising, consciousness raising, raids and arrests. And meanwhile, the music business is showing us a model for what can really go wrong in terms of revenues and lost jobs and everything else, an industry in free fall. So is the movie business going to go down the same path, or are we going to be smarter?
What I've come to see in managing content production online for the studios is that the effect of content theft on independent filmmakers and independent films tends to be more severe, in my estimation, on a title-by-title basis than your average studio film. And that's simply because the studios, by virtue of being the studios, have much more protections in place to sort of weather that storm. And there is an infrastructure in place at each of the studios to help protect content that they're responsible for. Every time I see an article that runs in the newspaper or in some trade about an independent film that's completely destroyed by piracy, it's just very disconcerting to me. I think that so I guess the short answer to that is my view is that there's more danger to independent filmmakers in that regard.
What you end up having is piracy being the first and in some cases the only scapegoat for a film underperforming. In the indie side, I would say that you rarely see piracy as a concern, partly because it's kind of common knowledge and common nature that because of the film festival circuit and because of the nature of the independent world, the films are out there. They're ubiquitous before they hit the marketplace, and that's just kind of become the norm. So I almost feel like on the indie side, while piracy is something to be concerned about, it's not necessarily something people are looking to fight because there aren't as many parallels to piracy having an impact on a art house release, for example. Look at Wolverine. Wolverine was on pirate sites, a month before its release, and it still went on to make hundreds of millions of dollars. It goes to show that, there are many factors, and in some cases, the onus is on the distributors more than ever to make people not want to see a pirated version of a film.
It went from 3,200 to 863, and then it went to number 3. It was the third most popular movie on IMDb 4 weeks before commercial release. A very high-quality Blu-ray rip landed, and people really liked it. They really liked it. I went to streaming sites, and they were like, 9 out of 10, this is great. And on IMDb, it was highly, highly rated. The only movie that was more highly rated in those weeks in the run-up when, when torrenting, it requires a certain number of people doing it, and it was Iron Man 2 was more popular.
Now, you went on and looked at the comments, and you actually challenged them. You asked them, you said, I've heard a lot of reasons why streaming and downloading movies is a good idea, why everyone concerned should be happy with the attention. And you asked them if it was a fair price, and what should they do, and would they pay for a download? What kind of answer did you get?
Well, got everything from a lot of people, I feel, as a lot of people seem to, that the movie and music industry have more to answer to than some people who download from what was originally intended to be free until big business got on board. Oh, well, I got some of that. I got a lot of, I bought a lot of shitty movies, and I want to see it first, and if I like it, I'll buy it. Okay, it may be true. I got some, I'm in Mozambique, and the picture will never be shown here, so this is the only way, and I got a lot of, don't you understand that I want to see it now?
I've certainly looked at the movie industry a lot, but I've spent a lot more time with the music industry and kind of what they've done and the number of mistakes that they've made in terms of focusing too much on blaming piracy, because piracy just becomes this really easy sort of evil thing to focus in on and say that that's the problem and not deal with it in constructive ways. What we've seen is the more people recognize that this is an issue. It's out there. It's something that's happening. The question is, how do you deal with it? And you can deal with it, by calling the lawyers. You can deal with it by, lobbying Congress. You can deal with it by putting more protection in there, or you can deal with it by trying to do something that's cool that the fans like, that gives them a reason to actually want to give you money for something or another. And that last one seems to actually be pretty damn effective in terms of getting people to do stuff that gives the artist money, which is kind of where the rubber hits the road at the end of the day. And we're seeing that in some areas in the movie business as well. Now that the artists and the filmmakers who actually focus in on ways to actually connect with their audience, connect with their fans in a way that makes those fans excited to be a part of the movie experience, and not just thinking about the content itself as just sort of that's the end product, the content itself, but the overall experience of wanting to see a movie, seeing a movie, discussing a movie, experiencing the whole thing. When you really connect with the fans, there are ways to get them to give you money and happily give you money, even though they can get it for free elsewhere.